Once you're comfortable with the basic operation of the ProPilot, it's easy to explore the advanced features of horizontal and vertical navigation. When the system has been engaged, and we're tracking a flight plan and holding altitude, there are several options that can be employed to change the horizontal or vertical flight profile. The rotating encoder knob can control either horizontal or vertical commands. When the system is initially engaged, the encoder will be devoted to horizontal commands. Control of vertical parameters is easily accomplished by pressing the V-mode button. The command cursor on the top line of the display will show that the encoder is then devoted to vertical navigation. Additionally, the right half of the screen will display altitude control information. Pressing the H-mode button will transfer encoder control back to horizontal navigation, as the cursor will indicate. Let's assume we're tracking the center line of a flight plan and find that there's significant traffic on the airway that we're using. The pilot can set in a track offset position so that the autopilot will fly the airplane to a waypoint with an offset, moving the aircraft away from the center of the airway. When in the track mode, simply press and rotate the encoder to select the desired distance you want, up to 3 miles left or right, in 10th-mile increments, and the autopilot will direct the aircraft to fly parallel to the flight plan by that distance. When flying a flight plan in the track mode, the pilot may deviate from the flight plan by using the H-mode button to select the course mode. The aircraft will continue on its flight path, but will now ignore the flight plan coming from the GPS. Instead, it will fly the magnetic course that it's on, using GPS as a reference. The pilot can then select the course that he or she wishes to fly by rotating the encoder knob to enter the desired course into the display window. The aircraft will turn and fly this course until the pilot alters the command. The course mode allows deviations requested by air traffic controllers, or it can be used to avoid localized weather conditions. Using the encoder knob in the course mode is similar to that of using a heading bug. The pilot can return the aircraft to the original flight plan by simply pressing the H-mode button to enter the intercept mode. The aircraft will then turn to intercept the original flight path at a 30-degree angle. This intercept angle can be adjusted by rotating the encoder knob. Once the aircraft nears the original flight path, it will automatically return to the track mode and resume normal navigation. When the pitch servo is engaged using the VNAV button, the autopilot will be in the altitude hold mode and it will hold the current altitude. Pressing the V-mode button will dedicate the encoder to altitude control and show those functions on the display. Notice that the command cursor now points to the right. The display and the green LED are showing that we're in the altitude hold mode. The up-down message indicates that we can adjust the altitude slightly by rotating the encoder. This will change the altitude by approximately 5 feet per click of the encoder. This function is useful when you get a new barometer setting for your primary aircraft altimeter after flying for a while. When the primary aircraft altimeter is then adjusted, it may show that the aircraft needs to climb or descend a bit to re-establish the proper altitude. If the altitude error is more than a 20 or 30 foot error, the encoder can be rotated a few turns and the aircraft will then climb or descend slowly at about 100 feet per minute. When you have reached the corrected altitude, simply press the encoder knob and the autopilot will again be in altitude hold. If at any point the pilot wishes to climb or descend, pressing the V-mode button again will allow entering a vertical speed value, up or down, in 100 foot per minute increments by rotating the encoder knob. The amber ASVS LED will illuminate, indicating that a value has been entered. Then pressing the encoder knob will initiate the climb or descent, and the LED will flash to signal that the altitude change is in progress. The vertical speed may be adjusted at any time during the climb or descent, and the ProPilot will respond accordingly. The pilot can set a target altitude by pressing the V-mode button once again. This will bring up the altitude select screen and allow a value to be entered. Rotating the encoder knob will change the value in 100-foot increments. Pressing and rotating the encoder changes the value in 1,000-foot increments. The altitude select LED will illuminate to indicate that a number has been entered. Pressing the encoder momentarily will activate the selected altitude. However, the ProPilot will first ask the pilot to verify the current altitude in the baro screen to be sure that it agrees with the primary aircraft altitude, and it allows approximately 5 seconds to begin adjusting it. It will time out after 5 seconds and activate the selected altitude, or the encoder knob can be pressed momentarily to activate it immediately. The altitude select LED will then flash to show that the selected altitude is active. Once this is accomplished, the screen will again show the vertical speed and allow it to be adjusted. There is a useful feature that gives the pilot the ability to pause a climb or descent. As an example, in a climb, if a controller should ask you to hold your current altitude, a quick press of the encoder knob will invoke the altitude hold mode. The two flashing LEDs will then stop flashing and the green altitude hold LED will illuminate. When the controller says to continue the climb, another quick press of the encoder knob will instruct the ProPilot to resume the climb to the target altitude. Should the pilot wish to cancel the climb or descent, pressing the V-mode button and holding it for approximately 3 seconds will cancel the vertical commands and resume altitude hold. It should be noted that the climb profile may also be entered prior to engaging the pitch servo. Let's put in an 800-foot climb rate and a 7,500-foot target altitude. After takeoff and clear of the airport pattern, the pilot may then press the VNAV button to engage the pitch servo, and the autopilot will begin the climb to the desired altitude.